96 and Chattanooga's #1 hit music station, also representing Alt 98.7. My name is Gino D, and today we have an artist spotlight, and we're going to feature Mikki Zip. How are you, Mikki?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by our beautiful city here, Chattanooga. We were just talking a little bit before we started recording. You were able to kind of see a little bit of the scenic city, and
Yes.
you've been on somewhat of a radio tour. How has everything been? Where have you been? How is it going? What's the experience been like?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been about a 5-day run here. We went from Lexington to Cincinnati to Knoxville, played a show there, did some radio there, and now here in Chattanooga.
Excellent.
So,
And the travel has been okay? I mean, it's kind of a good time of year to travel.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's been the best time of year because all the leaves, they've changed and everything. It's gorgeous. It's been amazing, and I love a road trip, so I'm all for it.
There we go. Excellent. Well, we want people to follow you on social media because you're on a little bit of a journey right now. You've been doing music for quite some time, but you just released a brand new EP, or your debut EP, really.
Yeah.
Something to Write About. So first, before we get into the EP and all that, why don't we just give kind of an elevator's pitch of, if you had to describe yourself as an artist, the type of music you're playing, what you're doing right now, how would you explain to someone?
I would definitely say it's a little bit of an alternative country music.
Sure.
A little bit of southern rock.
Yeah.
So we love the classic country, but also I'm very influenced by Linda Ronstadt and Stevie Nicks and Janis Joplin and folks like that. So where that all meets in the middle is where you can find me at.
Excellent. Yeah, we like that. We like that. It's always nice to have a little bit of a blend going on. You kind of appeal to a little bit more of a mass audience, and you can find something for everyone to kind of sit back and enjoy your music.
Definitely.
Let's talk about those musical beginnings. How does one get into it? How does your story end up getting into music, playing the guitar, singing, songwriting? How did it all start?
Well, I'm originally from upstate New York, actually, central New York, Syracuse, and around there is when I started learning everything about this crazy industry. I grew up watching my uncle play at different bars and honky tonks around Syracuse. You wouldn't think there's a big country music scene there, but there is. People love country music up there. So grew up watching him play and realized, hey, this can be a career. This can be a dream to follow, So ever since I picked up a guitar at 10 years old, I started writing songs and then playing those songs out live, and now blossom into where I am today. 14, moved to Nashville, and everything just took off from there.
Do you remember that one moment that kind of hit you? Maybe you were super young, maybe you weren't, that you were like, yeah, I think I do really want to try to kind of tackle this professionally, or at least go put my goal at that. Do you remember that moment?
I don't even know if there was a specific moment, just because I always grew up performing in some way. Like, I had my little karaoke machine at my house, and I used to make my family come over and pay to get in to the house to watch me sing, like, the whole soundtrack of Grease or whatever, So performance has always been just my thing since I was younger, but watching my uncle and then learning to play the guitar at 10, that's, I feel like, when it kind of kicked in of like, oh, now that I have this, I can write my own songs now. I can put, these lyrics I've been coming up with to some music, and I think 10, 11 years old is where the ball really started rolling for that.
Excellent. And then, like you said, a few years later then, so that's when you started thinking about it, then 14, you started deciding, we're going to Nashville.
Yes.
And how was that move as an influence for you? And then, of course, your experience in Nashville. I assume you've been there ever since, so it's got to be good to you.
Yes. I love Nashville. It's such a great spot for songwriting, networking, all that stuff. Nowadays, I love going and playing out of town and seeing new cities like Chattanooga here.
Yes.
But I do love Nashville. There's always something going on. My parents, I have to thank them because, they were like, you know what, I think Nashville would be a good place for her. I'm an only child, so they really kind of just took a leap of faith with me, and got to grow up in Nashville, Tennessee, really. And I'd go from doing actually some theater and stuff around the area to playing my own shows. Every day after school was filled with one of those things. How do you, Nashville, I feel like, and it's happening here in Chattanooga now too, there's always somebody performing somewhere. There's always some kind of music happening in Nashville. It's the music city. It should. It should. But how do you stand out as an artist when you're going to perform at these places? Because it'd be so easy to kind of fall into the blend and just become background noise. Most definitely. And when I started out, I definitely learned how to be that background noise once in a while. Watching the TV over my head, football game that's on. But that's kind of how I learned how to grab people's attention. And I realized that you know, when you're in Nashville, it is easy to fall into like that box that everyone kind of wants you to fall into. You know, same even style of voice sometimes people pick
Sure.
up on. But I realized, and somebody said this to me in Cincinnati actually on the radio run. They said you're unique, and your uniqueness is your superpower. So these last few years especially, I've just really leaned into that and realized that it's better to be different,
Right.
you know? So yeah, I just try to stick to me, you know?
Yeah. It's funny, around here, and I've talked to numerous artists, especially local artists, that talk about different gigs and getting it, becoming, there are places that are just looking for that background music.
Most
and if you
definitely.
understand that as an artist and
Yeah.
don't take it personal, it's
Yeah.
not a thing, they're just looking for entertainment. So he called them entertainment gigs, and then there's artist gigs.
Yes.
Where there's other venues that will open up their doors
I
for
love
you.
that.
And they want you to kind of be the focal point. They
Yeah.
want you to be that. So it's just a matter of being, I think, being an artist and kind of understanding that there's going to be different types of gigs, but as long as you're playing, it should be good
Yeah.
news.
Yes, I love looking at a full calendar,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
so that's always nice. But yeah, that's a great way to put it, because knowing the difference between those two gigs, you
Yeah.
know, is important, because sometimes a venue, you know, the game's on or whatever, and
course.
they do want some music going on as well. But even then, you know, I still be me and get up there and hope
Exactly.
that a couple people listen and follow along, you know,
Very good.
so.
Let's talk about your creative process a little bit when you approach songwriting. How does it start for you? Where does the inspiration come from?
Yeah,
What's
well,
your creative process?
I've had some great co-writers these last few years. You know, they talk a lot in Nashville about like finding your tribe, finding your people, and I definitely think that's come to life. Got Will Tipton and Paige Ruderman, who are two of my favorite co-writers in town. So when I'm writing with them, especially, I feel like we always just start with just penciling out the idea of the song, like what we're thinking, you know. It starts out most of the time, I feel like, with them like a title usually, and then we branch off from there. I'm a big lyrics person, so I feel like the lyrics always start flowing first, and then the melody kind of comes along. Why I like writing with Will, though, he's a musical guy, so he'll start picking up on the chords and maybe a little riff or something, and then I'll already have the lyrics going, and then Paige, she pencils it all out and gets the idea rolling, and we go from there. So, but sometimes it starts with a melody, but most of the times for me, I'm already thinking
so
lyrics.
come into mind. So you want to just kind of always have voice notes with you, or a notebook just to write things down?
Oh my gosh, you should see my notes app. It's ridiculous. There's like a long running list of just random ideas, whether it's a title or just an idea, a thought, whatever.
Sure, just words.
Yeah.
If what's maybe your most unique inspiration, do you think? After all, but I'm sure you get inspired by a bunch of different things. But has there anything that comes to mind that's like, you know what, I can't believe I'm writing a song about this?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, in the last few years, I definitely think there's two that come to mind. One's a newer song I actually just started playing out. It's called "What's It Like to Be Jesus," and I came into a co-write with a gal named Mara Strepa. And I kind of just had this idea of like somebody who really thinks that they're like Jesus, that come back to life, like very narcissistic, you know? So when we were writing it, the lines we came up with, I was like, this is pretty funny where this is coming from now. No one will ever know the person it's about. But, you know, I'm thinking of the inspiration, like that's pretty funny. But then writing with Paige Ruderman, we wrote one about a neighbor I had, and how they were a little different. They were a little crazy. So they were a little bit older than me too, and so we wrote a song called "Too Old for This." Like, you're too old to be doing all this. So inspiration could come from literally anywhere.
That's why I always ask that question.
Yeah,
it is funny to.
There's been a few funny titles in this last year.
Or just those spots that hit you. I know, whether it be waking up in first thing in the morning, or going to bed that night, or in the shower, or wherever the kid driving along. It's just ideas can hit you. So it's just kind of.
Sometimes I hear from other people too. You know, just like in daily life, I'm always keeping my ears tuned into what's going on and seeing what people are saying, because you never know what they got going on.
We had the artist Lainey. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lainey. They're more of a pop type act, but they came in and he said that they would watch quirky documentaries for inspiration. So any type of weird line that comes out of a documentary that's especially quirky, that's what they would write down that one line, and then from there they would kind of develop and see if they could write a song around it.
That's pretty cool.
So that was just a list of inspirations that they would get. When it comes to performing your songs, what do you look to do as an artist? Obviously, there's a connection that you want to make, as most artists say, and all of that. But what do you want people to walk away after seeing you perform? What do you want them to walk away with?
Well, when people ask me like long term, like what my goal is in music, and you know, I could say like success and stardom and all
Sure.
that stuff, but really I just want to like connect with people and have them find something in even just one of my songs that they're like, hey, I really related to that. I really want to take that with me and take it home and listen to it and find somebody who's feeling the same way that I feel. I feel like music is the major connector of the world, you know? And
universal language.
I love being a part of that, you know? I've had this last EP, which you know we're going to chat about, is one of the songs called Boys Mama Hates, and they did like a write-up in like in Mexico or something like that about it, and I was like, that's really cool, because like even people in Mexico are like relating to what I'm writing about and doing a whole like review on it. I mean, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think every show I'm just hoping that at least a few people really hear and resonate with what I'm singing and writing about. I mean, like I said, I'm a big lyrics person, so I'm always thinking about how can people relate to this right here, you know?
And I think I've read before you've done in previous interviews and saying the power of sharing social media.
Yeah.
That share button is so powerful on social media. Probably how you can reach people in Mexico and beyond is because of that. So I know that that's one thing that I'm always trying to push and telling people when they're listening is like, you know, that share button, the likes are great, comments are perfect too, everything's nice. Any type of interaction is wanted. But the share button, to really kind of put it out there and show people, you know, check this out.
Oh, and that's what I say at my shows too. Like, I always say, you know, I love people throwing stuff in the tip jar. That's very nice. I go, but as an independent artist, what I appreciate more than anything is a follow.
Yes.
Just click follow, follow along on the journey, and then see where I end up in the next few years. You know?
I know it's kind of not sad, but it's different in the world we live in now, because that does mean something nowadays.
It means
you have
a
to
lot.
have some type of following before venues or people or labels or artists or whatever will even look into it. It's not so much just about the music anymore. It's about having that following and about being able to show that you have that support base to follow you, which is great. So let's talk about this debut EP. It's been out for about a month now. In fact, I think it's a month today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? 18th,
it is.
October 18th. So now it's November 18th. So it's been 1 month. What's the feedback been like? And what have your feelings now about it having been released for about a month?
This has been like the most amazing creative process that I've ever been involved in. I've released singles before this, but never a project, you know, and it's a different beast, you know. But I just had a great team surrounding me, and even the studio that I recorded at is called Spellbound Recorders. They're out in Lebanon, Tennessee, so not too far from Nashville. And the producer I met through that, Chris Justice, and the people that own it, Nettie Freed, and Daryl, they're just the greatest people. So like they from the get-go made this like such an awesome experience, to where it was kind of like, I'm gonna put this out there, and this is like a labor of love at this point, you know what I mean? And I'm just hoping people again resonate with it. And the reviews that I've gotten, even in some articles and stuff, like even that one from Mexico and everything, I mean, people are really actually being like, this is pretty cool. And the comparisons that I've gotten to some other artists has been pretty awesome too. So I'm just excited about it still.
Is there a theme or a story that you were kind of trying to follow when selecting the songs for this particular EP? Because that's usually when these projects come out. Sometimes that is kind of a thing. Is there a reason you pick these songs to go together?
I really just picked these songs because I felt like they embodied who I am as an artist right now. Which is funny because some of them were actually written like years ago, but they're songs that I loved when we wrote them, and I kind of just been waiting for the right moment, and it just felt like this project was it. And when I was kind of going through songs, I was like, this feels like me right now, like as an artist. Like I could hear, you know, already production wise what we can do with it, and that all kind of really came to life in a major way. So
it's just something to get out there that kind of just picks you as an artist. And it's always nice to have a song. Singles are great, and people can go and do their research. But when you can have kind of a boom, 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 so when people hear one, it's like, well, let's see what else is going on, and they'll continue to listen. So I think it's a good idea to once in a while. I know that's not even kind of a thing anymore. Is this? Everybody just wants to get that single out there.
Yes,
but it's nice to have a catalog, a library, a little bit.
Yes, it's definitely a single industry right now, but I just thought it was time for like a little project like this, you know. So maybe an album will be somewhere down the road.
Yeah, hopefully.
But an EP was good for now.
And that leads to my next question then. And just to wrap things up, this has been great. Thank you. And I know we're going to have you perform for us in just a little bit here too. We're excited to hear some of that music. congratulations on the EP, the success you're having. Obviously, being able to do a radio tour is an accomplishment all in itself.
Yeah.
All the performing you're doing in Nashville, and make sure you go to mickizip.com for a full list of all of the things that you're performing, usually in the Nashville area. And we're going to try to get you back here in Chattanooga to see you
Yes, I
perform
want to
too.
come back.
But what is the future goal now? Say maybe a 5-year plan,
Yeah.
or even a year plan. What's after this EP comes out? What should we keep an ear out for? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Well, I'm just really hoping that this following, more and more we get out of town, just keeps growing and growing, and from that I'm able to release more and more music.
Right.
I'm always writing, and I'm always even solos, but a lot of co-writes, and I've got a lot of songs in the bank right now that already I'm ready to say, okay, let's put this out there. So
Sure.
2025 looks like it's going to be a good year with lots more music.
Excellent.
But yeah, a lot of people ask me, like, what's your goal? My number one goal is to play the Grand Ole Opry. That's my
There
number
we
one
go.
goal. If we want to pinpoint it.
Sure, yeah, no, it's good to throw it out there.
Yeah, right? You gotta manifest
Yeah,
it,
you
you
have
know?
to, you have to.
But in general, I'm just hoping to be somewhere in this landscape of this crazy music industry, you know? And to still have good people and a good team surrounding
Absolutely.
me. So.
Oh, very good. We're looking forward to watching you. Everybody follow Mikki. It's on Instagram at MikkiZip_official.
Yes.
And
yes.
then on TikTok at Mikki Zip, and of course on Facebook. But we'll post the links up all on our website too, so you'll be able to check that all out. It'll be a nice one little hub of information. And of course, MikkiZip.com. So we're gonna stop this video, but then we'll be back, and Mikki's gonna play a song for everyone. Let's do it right here on Hits 96 and Alt 98.7.